Welcome back, everyone, to Echoes of Ihsan. Today we're doing another deep dive, and this time it's into Sahih Bukhari.
Oh, yes.
Specifically, Book 46,
Okay.
which is all about the manumission of slaves.
Interesting.
Now, this might
That's
seem
big guy.
like a topic that's kind of,
Mm-hmm.
from the past.
Right.
The
Yeah.
thing is, these teachings
Uh-huh.
offer really profound insights, I think, into Islamic values.
I completely agree.
And they're still very much relevant,
Absolutely.
even today.
Yes, when we look at those teachings surrounding freeing slaves, you kind of see like
Yeah.
this tapestry of compassion and social justice,
Yeah.
striving for that spiritual excellence,
Yeah.
Ihsan.
Right.
It's so central to Ihsan.
Okay, so let's get right into it.
Okay.
One of the first things that really struck me was in Hadith 693.
Okay.
It talks about how freeing a slave is basically like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like securing your own place in paradise.
Right.
The Prophet Muhammad, PBUH,
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
this really powerful imagery
Mhm.
when he's talking about it.
Okay.
Allah will safeguard
Yes.
every part of your body
Mhm.
from hellfire
Mm-hmm.
for every single part of a
Mhm.
slave's body that you free.
Wow.
I mean, it's intense.
It really is. It drives home the weight
Yeah.
of this act of liberation.
Mm.
You can almost feel the urgency in those words.
Yes.
Like it's a call to action.
Yeah.
And think about it.
Mhm.
Freeing a slave, you're not just, doing a good deed.
Right.
You're mirroring Ihsan. It's
Yeah.
like you're embodying this compassion
Yes.
and you're actually
Yeah.
taking a real concrete step towards dismantling injustice.
Mhm.
And that's powerful.
It is.
It's like, what kind of society
Yeah.
Islam is envisioning
Right.
when you think about it that way.
And it's not just theoretical.
Right.
There's that story about Say bin Marjana.
Oh, yes.
He hears this teaching and boom,
Uh-huh.
he immediately frees his own slave. And what's amazing is that he was actually offered
Really?
a lot of money to sell him,
Wow.
but he chose to prioritize his faith.
That's a great example
Yes.
of how faith
Yeah.
translates
Yes.
into action.
Yeah.
He understood that the real reward
Mm.
is aligning your actions with a higher purpose.
Yeah.
He put those words into practice,
Right.
and he chose that spiritual gain
Yeah.
over all those worldly riches.
Yes.
That's such a powerful lesson for all of us.
It is. It makes you think about what's important.
Yeah,
What do we prioritize?
exactly.
So then we get to Hadith 694,
Okay.
where we encounter Abu Dar,
Right.
who is a companion of the Prophet.
Yeah.
And he wants to know, what are the best deeds?
Mm-hmm.
What should I be doing?
Right.
And the Prophet, PBUH, replies,
Okay.
to believe in Allah and to fight for his cause.
Now that's interesting.
It is interesting.
When we hear that phrase, fighting for his cause, it's easy to immediately think of like
Yeah.
battles,
Yeah,
but it actually goes so much deeper than that.
exactly.
It's this constant struggle
Mm-hmm.
for justice and righteousness in every single part of your life. It's like
Yeah.
you're opposing oppression.
Right.
You're standing up for what's true.
Mm-hmm.
And you're actively promoting good in yourself
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
in the world around you.
And that idea of striving
Yes.
really comes through in Abu Dar's next question.
What does he ask?
He wants to know what's the most superior form of manumission.
Okay.
And the Prophet, PBUH, replies, freeing the most expensive and beloved slave.
That's a curious answer.
It is curious.
Yeah.
Why that?
Well, it speaks to the sacrifice involved.
Okay.
It's not just about freeing any slave. It's
Right.
letting go of something that really means something to you, both materially
Right.
and emotionally.
Yeah.
Imagine giving up
Mm-hmm.
your most prized thing
Mm-hmm.
for someone else's freedom. That's true commitment
Yes.
to alleviating suffering.
And what's so amazing is that
Yeah.
the Prophet, PBUH,
Yeah.
doesn't just leave it at that.
Right.
He gives other ways
Yeah.
to do good
Mm-hmm.
if you can't afford to free a slave,
Yeah.
like assisting the weak.
Right.
And this is what I thought was really interesting.
Okay.
Refraining from harming others.
That is interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Simply not harming another person.
It's a beautiful reminder
Yes.
that even small things
Yeah.
can have so much weight.
Mm-hmm.
So refraining from causing harm,
Yes.
even when it's easy
Yeah.
to do so,
Yes.
it's charitable
Mm-hmm.
in Islam.
Wow.
It's like we're all connected,
Yes.
even our smallest deeds,
Mm.
they make the world more
Yeah.
just
Yes.
and compassionate.
It's like that ripple effect.
Exactly.
So it makes you realize no matter what your situation,
Yeah.
you can do something.
You can always do something.
Okay, so now let's shift gears a bit. Because we come to this really fascinating connection
Yeah.
between eclipses
Okay.
and manumission.
Interesting.
Hadiths 695 and 696.
Oh, wow.
So what do you think about that?
It's a bit surprising at first, but in Islam, eclipses are seen as these really powerful events. It's not just something happening, in the sky. They're reminders
Yes.
of Allah's majesty and power.
Yeah.
It's a time for reflection and for really focusing on your devotion.
So is the idea then
Yeah.
that by freeing a slave during an eclipse, it's like seeking Allah's mercy
Exactly.
and showing humility
Yes.
in the face of his power?
Yeah. It's like acknowledging that we depend on Allah and that we are so grateful for his blessings.
Yeah.
And we express it in this tangible way.
Yeah, you're kind of seizing this moment
Yes.
to do good.
It adds another layer of meaning to the act,
Right.
doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Things get a bit more
Yeah.
legalistic, I guess. In the next set of hadiths, 697 through 704,
Oh, wow.
they go into detail about freeing a slave
Okay.
who was owned by multiple masters.
Oh, that's got to be complicated.
It's pretty complicated.
Yeah.
But this is where you see
Yeah.
the practicality of Islamic teachings.
Okay.
The Prophet, PBUH, gives clear instructions
Yeah.
about how one co-owner can free their share of a slave.
Interesting.
There's this emphasis on,
Mm-hmm.
making sure there's fair valuation
Yeah.
and this obligation, if you could afford it,
Right.
to free the slave entirely.
Wow.
So it's very nuanced.
It is. It's designed to protect everyone
Yes.
involved.
Yeah, it's like this step-by-step guide
Yeah.
on how to do this with fairness and to ensure the slave's eventual freedom.
Exactly.
And, on top of all that, we can't forget about intention.
Right.
Hadith 706 reminds us
Yes.
that the reward for any deed
Uh-huh.
is tied to the intention behind it.
Of course.
So outward actions are important. But the real value
Mm-hmm.
is the sincerity of your heart.
Right.
So when it comes to manumission,
Yes.
the act should be for the sake of Allah,
Mm-hmm.
driven by compassion
Mm-hmm.
and a desire to please him.
So it's not about showing off or getting praise. It's pure intention.
Exactly. And this hadith is like a reminder
Yeah.
to constantly check ourselves,
Uh,
purify our hearts,
yeah.
and make sure that even the things that seem righteous
Yeah.
are actually rooted in sincerity.
It's a good reminder for all of us.
It is.
For everything we do.
Now, there's this truly moving story
Oh.
in Hadith 707 to 709
Okay.
about Abu Huraira
Mm-hmm.
and his slaves.
Yeah.
They were going to embrace Islam,
Okay.
but they got separated along the way.
Oh, wow.
And then as Abu Huraira is with the Prophet, PBUH,
Uh-huh.
guess who shows up?
The slave.
The slave.
Wow.
What a reunion,
That's powerful.
right?
Yeah.
It really shows the transformative power of faith.
It does.
In Abu Huraira,
Yeah.
he immediately says,
Mhm.
I manumit him for Allah's sake.
It's so symbolic
It is.
on so many levels.
It really is.
It's like he's committing to living his new faith.
Yes. Yes.
Putting that compassion and liberation
Mm-hmm.
above all else.
It shows you how embracing Islam
Right.
can really change the way you see the world.
Absolutely.
It leads to profound change.
Yeah.
It makes you think about
Yeah.
how we can align our actions
Mhm.
with our beliefs
Yes.
to make the world better.
It's amazing how much we've already talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're just getting started.
It's just the beginning.
I know.
It's going to be a great deep dive.
Absolutely.
So welcome back to our deep dive into the manumission of slaves in Sahih Bukhari.
It's incredible how these teachings,
Yeah.
they're from so long ago,
Right.
but they have so much wisdom
They really do.
about things like leadership and responsibility,
Mm.
ethical conduct,
That-
and they offer this completely new way
It's true.
of thinking about how we relate to each other
Uh-huh.
and the obligations we have.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like they're opening up a whole new way of thinking
We really are.
about relationships
Hmm.
and what we owe each other.
Yeah. And speaking of obligations,
Yes.
that concept of guardianship
Right.
that we touched on before?
It's so powerful.
It really is.
It changes the whole idea
Mm.
of what it means to be a leader.
Yeah.
True leadership.
Yeah.
It's not about
Right.
having power over people.
Yeah.
It's about service and protection
Mhm.
and taking care of
Yeah.
the people you're responsible for.
It flips the script on leadership.
It does. It's not being at the top.
Right.
It's about lifting everyone up.
Exactly. And it's not just,
Mhm.
for people with authority.
It applies to all of us.
It does.
Doesn't matter what your role is.
Right.
We're all guardians in some way.
That's a really good point.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Our families, our communities,
right.
even the environment.
Yeah.
We have to nurture, protect, and guide.
So how can we apply this,
Yeah.
in our own lives?
That's the question, isn't it?
It feels kind of abstract sometimes.
Right.
In today's world.
Especially when the focus is on individual success.
Exactly. So how do we make it concrete?
It really requires a shift in perspective.
Right.
We need to move beyond ourselves.
Yeah.
And think about the well-being of others.
Oh, okay.
Our actions.
Yeah.
They affect everyone.
Yes.
We're all connected.
So what does that look like practically?
Well, it can be really simple things like checking in on a neighbor who's struggling.
Right.
Maybe mentoring someone. Or just listening to a friend.
Yeah. Just being there for them.
Yeah.
It's
It's about being present,
Yeah.
paying attention, and wanting to help.
And sometimes it means speaking up against injustice.
Right.
Advocating for people who can't speak for themselves.
It takes courage
It does.
to do that, to go outside your comfort zone.
But we have to recognize when our silence is part of the problem and find that strength to speak up.
The prophet, PBUH himself,
Yeah.
was a champion of justice.
He was.
He fought for the oppressed.
We have to follow his example
We do.
and work towards a just world.
A world where everyone is treated with dignity.
And respect.
Exactly.
And, by being guardians, we can help create a more compassionate and just society.
It's a ripple effect.
It is.
Every act of kindness, every time we do what's right, it makes a difference.
It does.
It spreads outwards.
It's like we're planting seeds of compassion and justice.
Beautiful.
And hopefully they'll grow into a better world.
I hope so.
Now, I wanted to go back earlier about the double reward
Uh-huh.
for pious slaves
Right.
and for obedient servants.
It was a bit paradoxical.
It is. It is, especially given the context
Yeah.
of slavery.
We have to remember the historical context.
Okay.
Islam came about
Mm-hmm.
in a society where slavery was the norm.
It was.
The prophet's PBUH approach was to change things gradually,
Right.
bring in those ideas of justice and compassion, but with the goal of ending slavery.
So it was this process of reform
Yes,
leading to abolition.
exactly.
They were humanizing the system
yes.
and creating a path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To a better future.
Exactly.
And those hadiths
Yes.
about the rewards,
Uh-huh.
they highlight something really important.
What's that?
They're saying that everyone has dignity and worth.
Regardless of their social standing.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what your position is.
Yeah.
Every person
Yeah.
is valuable to Allah.
That's such a powerful statement.
It is, even within a system of slavery.
So it's saying that everyone deserves respect and everyone can grow spiritually.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what your circumstances are.
Right.
And it also emphasizes
Yeah.
doing your duty, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Whether you're free or enslaved,
Right.
you should be sincere,
Yes.
obedient, and pious.
It's about inner liberation
It is
as well as physical freedom.
cultivating virtue,
Yes.
striving for growth.
It's a message that speaks to me.
It's universal.
It is.
It applies to all of humanity.
It shows you that Islamic teachings offer guidance and inspiration.
No matter who you are
Exactly.
or what you believe. Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more thing.
Right.
Welcome back to this final part of our deep dive into
Yes.
the manumission of slaves from Sahih Bukhari.
Such a fascinating topic.
It is. It really is.
It's been quite the journey.
It has.
Yeah.
Yeah, exploring all this history and the ethical questions and the spiritual insights.
Absolutely.
It's really amazing to me how Islam dealt with the complexities of slavery. Like, they gave all this guidance on navigating the system. But at the same time,
Yes.
they were setting the stage
Right.
for it to eventually be abolished.
It's incredible.
It really is.
How those teachings developed.
Yeah. As we wrap up, what would you say
Yeah.
is the most important
That's a great question.
takeaway from all this?
I think it's that emphasis
Okay.
on the dignity and worth of every single person.
It doesn't matter
It doesn't.
what your background is.
Nope.
Your social status,
Does matter.
your circumstances.
Everyone
has value.
in the eyes of Allah.
Exactly.
You know, that message really transcends time and culture.
It's not about what's outside.
Right.
It's about your character and your connection with Allah.
And along with that idea of inherent worth,
Yes.
there's this call to action.
Absolutely.
It's not enough
to
just recognize that people are suffering.
We have to do something about it.
We have to actually do something.
Make the world.
To ease their suffering.
Not just.
Yeah, to create a more just world.
And that goes
and equitable.
Way beyond just slavery.
Yes, it applies.
It's about every injustice.
To everything we see today.
Think about
all the different forms of oppression.
Fighting for people's rights.
Right. Advocating for those who are marginalized.
Standing up against discrimination.
Even just helping someone.
Yes, even the small things.
Who needs it? Make a difference.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
something huge.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Right, like what can I do?
By all the problems.
Yeah, but we have to remember.
But every little bit.
That change happens one step at a time.
Helps.
One person at a time.
Every act of kindness.
And every time we do what's right.
Makes difference.
It makes a difference.
You're making the world.
It really does.
Better.
We are all guardians.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
In a way.
We're responsible for each other.
Yeah. Entrusted with making the world better.
We're not alone.
Right here, right now.
We're part of a community.
I keep coming back to this question, though.
What's that?
About how we reconcile these teachings on slavery with what we understand today.
Right.
About human rights.
That's a tough one.
It is.
We have to sensitive. Yeah.
It's a difficult topic.
Understand that these teachings came about in a different time.
A different context.
Islam allowed slavery.
Yeah.
But it made it more humane.
Right. It tried to improve the situation.
And it worked towards ending it.
But we've come a long way.
We have.
Our understanding
of
human rights
has evolved.
It's a process.
It is. And we have to acknowledge that historical context, but also embrace how our understanding
of human rights
has changed.
We need to keep talking about it.
We do.
You know, learning from scholars.
And thinkers.
Both traditional and contemporary.
But always remembering.
Compassion. Justice. Human dignity.
Those are the core.
Those are at the heart of it all.
Values.
They can guide us as we face the challenges of today.
The teachings on Manumission, they offered this timeless message about seeing everyone's worth and working for a world where everyone is free.
Oh, a world of freedom and justice.
That's what we should aim for.
It's a message that keeps inspiring me.
It's powerful.
It reminds us that striving for Ihsan.
That excellence.
Yeah.
Beauty, perfection.
It's an ongoing thing.
It is.
It never ends.
It's a journey.
We're working towards
a world.
A world where compassion and justice win.
Where those values.
And where oppression and inequality are defeated.
Beautiful.
And with that thought,
we
come to the end.
It's the end.
Of our deep dive.
Of our journey.
Into the manumission of slaves in Sahih Bukhari.
I hope it's made you.
I hope this exploration has sparked your curiosity.
And want to learn more.
And inspired you.
About Islam.
To learn even more.
It's a rich tradition.
About Islamic teachings.
Full of wisdom.
So until next time. Keep exploring.
Keep learning.
Keep learning.
And keep striving.
And keep striving for a better world.
For a better world.